And she's Mina, and our topic is about Japanese food culture. Uh, why we pick this topic? Because we all like to eat. Who doesn't
Who
like to
doesn't?
eat, right? The agenda of today's presentation, I'm gonna go over Japanese cuisines basic, and then Yuna's gonna talk about dining and drinking etiquette, and then Brendan's gonna talk about omiyake and labels. So, are Japanese passionate to food? I found a chart showing like how much they spend on the like these things, and Japan like out of the four like industrialized country, and Japan they spend the most for food out of all of the countries, and then my question to the Kagoshima students, my first question is why are Japanese so into alcohol? And then and they say not all the Japanese are like into the alcohol, but they are, most of them do. Like the one who does, they drink a lot. And then my second question is, do Japanese eat out with friends very often? They said very often, but when I asked like, how often, they said that it's generally 1 or 2 times per week, which to me is kind of like only a few times. Because like during the lunch, like we basically I eat out with my friends like every day, kind of after physics class. And how much do you spend on the food each month? They said like about 2万yen to 3万yen, like which means this equals like from $200 to $300. That sounds pretty normal to me, considering like including all the food spend. And the question for I asked is which way of cooking do Japanese do the most? Raw, simmer, fried, steamed, or roasted or grilled? They said raw, simmer, and roasted or grilled. That's the most one. With, like basically the sushi and the yakiniku. And like although those questions didn't like like my point stands out because like they didn't because like according to this chart like they are very passionate to the food. Here's the like the supply and the demand for the country, and the supply is way higher than what they produce. So they are like the one of the most they import most products from the other countries among the industrialized countries. And speaking of Japanese cuisines, always ramen, miso soup, and sushi, but Japanese food culture is not always about those dishes. The basic flavor from that makes the Japanese food taste Japanese is dashi. It's basically a issue stuff, and it extract the umami from the ingredients to make it more tasty. And these are the ingredients they use very often for the dashi. And Japanese cuisine is fundamental. The first one is all the traditional Japanese food like glue on top of the rice, and the rice is a supply of protein. And then by eating the rice with other dishes, like they can like get the nutrition balance from that. And then moreover, the miso soup is like the best combination with rice. They drink most of them like drink the miso soup and rice, eat the rice in the morning for breakfast. Not like us, maybe like top ramen. And also they each family they have their own like recipe for the miso soup. So miso soup is also called mother's taste. And the second fundamental is they have the main dish and the side dish. The main dish is usually the meat, and then the side dish always like the veggies. But like they also always use the not doesn't it doesn't mean like they only use the veggies, but they also use meat to cook it. But like the main ingredients is veg. And Japanese attitude towards food is very serious. They kind of have like from what I read, they like the TV program like on this channel, you can always find like a program about food, and then eating is one of the reasons to motivate the Japanese people to travel around the world. And then they kind of have like a general rule of five sense. They think food should enjoy in all five sense: sight, hearing, taste, smell, and touch. And then five colors, although they don't do it like very often, but like they believe having all these five colors in the dishes will increase the nutrition value. And then the fifth flavor, umami. And then five waves, raw, simmer, fried, steam, and roasted or grilled. Don't ask me why they are six, because these two things means the same in Japanese. Now is Gina's turn.
So I'm going to talk about Japanese dining and drinking etiquette. But first, I'm going to tell you the difference between etiquette and manners. Actually, etiquette and manners are both critical to function in society. Both of them is rules of behavior, but etiquette is more a specific code of behavior. So you need to take specific lessons to learn etiquette, while manners is usually taught when you're since you're a kid. And they both rely on basic principles. Basically, you need to treat people with respect and treat others with respect and make other people feel comfortable. And how to hold chopstick is very important in Japan because most of the food usually, most of the place at most of the restaurants usually use chopstick. First, you need to hold the upper. You need to grab both chopstick with one hand, and then line up the chopstick with the other hand. This is the second picture, and then the third picture is you need to shift the first hand to the correct position. So it's about two-thirds. And then the last image on the first line is the correct way to hold it. Then the second line is how to use chopstick. So you place the first chopstick with one hand, place it about 1/3 of the way from its top, and then the next place the second chopstick against your ring finger, holding it with the base of the thumb, and then move the upper chopstick with your thumb, index, and middle fingers. Right now we have chopstick taboos. The first one is saburi bashi. It means to look for contents in a soup with chopsticks, like mixing it around and looking for things. And then the second one is mayoi bashi. It's to wander chopstick around, like try to pick something what to eat, but then you don't decide on anything. The third one is sashi bashi, to pick up food by stabbing it. And then neburi bashi is to lick the tips of your chopstick. And then yoshi bashi is to pull a plate using your chopstick. And then hotoke bashi is to place your chopstick stand up on in the rice. Usually it's like a funeral. It's like offering for the dead. They usually do that. And then the next one is kakibashi, is to shuffle food into one's mouth, like placing it close to your mouth. Nigiribashi is holding the chopstick like you're going to stab someone. And then hashi watashi is another big taboo. It's like passing food with your chopstick. It's a funeral ritual. It's like if the cremated bones transfer into urn, it's like using that ritual. And then the last one is nabidabashi, to drip the sauce from the food or from chopstick. So before you eat, there's a ritual expression that they usually say. So before meal is like itadakimasu. It means I gratefully receive this food. And then with palms close together like praying. And then after meal, you say gochiso sama desa, which means thank you for the meal. And then when you want to propose a toast, you say kanpai. It's a Japanese word for cheers. It also means buttons up.
Empty the glass.
Huh?
No.
All about questions and comments for after.
And then for individual, for shared dish, you need to use serving utensil, or if you don't have a serving utensil, you have to use the top of your chopstick. And for chopstick, you cannot place it on your table. You just have to put it on the chopstick holder, or if you don't have that, you have to place it on the plate, on your plate, or on the bowl. And you cannot wave your chopstick around or use it to point at people. We have basic table manners. I think everybody knows, almost maybe everybody knows. You cannot blow your nose at dining table. You have to clean your plate. And then no toilet related talk during meal. Don't burp. Don't talk with your mouth full. And then I think this is more Japanese, because I think at least in Indonesia we don't do this. Place everything back into its original position. The next one is, if you are sitting at a low table with a tatami mat, you need to remove your shoes and then wipe your hands using osibori if they give you osibori. And then in a formal situation, don't use osibori to wipe your face. But if it's more like informal, then you can do it. It's okay. And then don't pour soy sauce into your bowl of rice. It's a really big no-no because you might offend the chef. And then eating on the run or trains. Don't eat while walking on the street. But they do have a special place called tachigui. It's you can eat and stand. And then don't eat or drink in the trains unless the trip is longer. So how to eat rice? You have to hold the rice bowl with one hand and then hold the chopstick with another hand, and then lift the bowl towards your mouth while eating. How to eat sushi? They have a lot of rules about eating. It's really complicated. So for sushi, you can use chopstick or hands, but you cannot disassemble the sushi because you might break them apart. Nigiri sushi is meant to be eaten in one bite, so you cannot bite it and then take a second bite. If soy sauce is needed, only dip the neta side, which means the one that has the fish on it, of the sushi, and just lightly dab it with the soy sauce. And for Gunkan style sushi, it's hard to kind of like pour it over, tip it over. So they usually just dip the bottom edge of the nori into the soy sauce, or you can use a piece of ginger just to lightly dab on the top. Don't put too much soy sauce into your plate. For extra wasabi, just put it on top of the neta. For sashimi, also put it a little bit on the sashimi before dipping it with the soy sauce. Also, for some of the nigiri, they usually already comes with the sauce, so you don't really need to put soy sauce on it. How to eat noodle soup? Slurping is really polite.
Polite.
It shows that you really enjoy your meal, and you use your chopstick to bring the noodle to your mouth, and you use a spoon to drink the soup. But if they don't provide spoon, drink from the bowl. For donburi, like katsudon or yakodon, they usually provide big spoon. For big pieces of food like tempura katsu, you can use chopstick to separate it into bite-sized pieces, so it's easier for you to eat. And this is a video of a proper way how to drink. What is it? Yes, how to drink soup. What is it? Yeah.
The class.
Yeah.
It went
somewhere.
down. Off the thing. Try pulling it up.
Yes, it is.
Just like sheep. Oh, no.
Like,
There it is.
there's the mouse.
Was there?
It's gone. Okay. Oh,
There it is.
okay. What? You guys?
左手を持って手を持ちます。はい。で、右手でこうやって一つこう持って同じを書くようにしてあげる。で、そう添えて脇に置きます。両手でお椀を持ち上げます。まずしっかり持ってほぐします。そうするとここが泣きます。そこに足を乗せます。で、滑らせて足を持って身をいただきます。で、その中中のが入らない週だけいただくときは押さえながらいただいて終わりましたらここにもう一度乗せます。持ち直しをして置きます。で、手を添えて置いてもう一度蓋を持って元のような位置に戻します。
So
So
complicated.
as you can see, it's really complicated. Okay, so right now it's the drinking etiquette. Drinking etiquette, I have a lot also. So bear with me. So the cheers, I already told you before, it's campaign means bottoms up or drink the glass. And then the first round, usually start with the mandatory cheers, but you don't need to hold the glass for the first round when it's poured. It is also considered rude to pour your own cup because it's kind of shows it kind of means like you're greedy or you're selfish. For sake, they usually use tiny cups that which calls ochoko. And for beers, when it's like you share it with somebody, when you share a bottle of beer, usually they use a small cup or glass. But they also use big cup if it's like individual drinks. So who poured the drinks? Usually, I'm not sure, but this one, the first one, it says it's considered a feminine charge, so it's usually women who poured it. But then I never actually see another article about it. And I never see it before, so therefore I'm not sure. But usually junior pours for senior, and then worker pours for the boss, and a business person usually pours for customer. But if your boss is a woman, or the customer is a woman, you still have to pour for her. And avoid saying no when offered a drink. And then how to pour. You need to hold the bottle with both hands and then give the person a chance to hold his or her cup before you pour. But if the person is not aware that you're pouring them a drink, just pour it anyway. And then how to receive the drink. Hold up the cup with both hands. I see that he's not doing the right way. At a slight angle. When someone pours a drink.
Oh, receive. Receive.
Yeah.
And then it is considered a humble gesture to lightly pretend to refuse the drink. The person pouring always insists it's considered hospitality. So when someone pours around, it's not rude. It is rude not to reciprocate. So you have to pour back. if you are thirsty and your glass is empty, first you have to pour for others and then wait. They will reciprocate usually. If you don't want to drink anymore, you have enough, then make sure you keep your glass at least half full so they don't pour you another one. But if a Japanese person tries to pour more, you can place your hand over your glass. It's okay. And then for tipping, you don't need to tip in Japan, or they don't expect tip from you. Tipping is not common and is actually considered demeaning in Japan. And who pays the bill? It's somewhat complex. Usually the host, if they invite you to dinner, they usually will pick up the bill. But it's considered good manner if at least you make an effort to pay, like at least for your own portion. And then if you eat with a group of close friends, you can split the bill. It's also, the term is I think warikan. As a guest in Japan, usually you will get treated for meals. But if the guest is older or have a higher rank in the company, the guest might be expected to pay. And then if the host, a single host has treated many times, try to make an effort to insist on paying the bill at least once. And make sure to offer to pay 2 or 3 times, because usually Japanese will refuse the first offer or 2. And then if the host insists on paying, you have to thank him or her several times with the expression sumimasen and then gochiso sama desu. And then when a man go on a date with Japanese woman, offer to pick up the bill. Although sometimes we will offer warikan or Japanese phrase for splitting the bill. This one actually I asked with the Kagoshima University student, but then the second question, they say it's sometimes men pay the bill, sometimes women pay the bill, so it's kind of like a conflict. So I'm not sure which one is right. And then, is it considered rude to talk during dining time? It says it's not so rude to talk while eating. It's actually fun. It's a fun part of eating. And then, is the etiquette different for women and men? Let's say in general, it's not different. So I compare it to Indonesian culture because Japan and in Indonesia, they both a patriarchal country. So first, the differences. In Indonesia, we don't use chopstick, we use spoon and fork. So if to cut big pieces, we usually use the side of the spoon, and then we use right hand to pick up food or to eat. We can also use hand, no spoon or fork. And then you don't start eating until the oldest person begin to eat, and then the man pays the bill when go out on the date in Indonesia. The similarity is the one who does the inviting pays the bill, so it's almost similar to Japan. So, and in Indonesia we don't have tipping also.
All right. So yeah, I covered omiyage and meibutsu, and these are like very powerful parts of the food economy in Japan. And this so to start, omiyage and meibutsu, the terms are applied to local food, souvenirs, and specialties, and especially famous food dishes. And there's at least one meibutsu in every prefecture in Japan. They're so limited and so restricted to certain regions. They can reach high demand, and they could be advertised on anywhere, like on the streets, at the stations, even on TV. And here's an old ad I found for this one meibutsu called a kamado, which is a very unique wagashi from Shikoku. It's pretty cool. So yeah, there's also traditions and customs to omiyage, and omiyage tradition giving is a very powerful, is also a very big social tradition shared between friends, coworkers, pretty much anybody you share a relationship, personal or business-wise. And so the culture has evolved to a point where if you don't give an omiyage, hey, it's socially unacceptable, and because everybody gives omiyage, this contributes to the high demand and successful sales of omiyage and meibutsu. And then it came to me, omiyage gift giving. Many cultures share the idea of gift giving and having local specialties like the Gilroy garlics or Florida's key lime pie. And then I thought, why is the tradition of omiyage so distinct to Japan? Well, as it turns out, the meibutsu and omiyage that are usually they're local, they're placed as local specialties in each prefecture, are actually very culturally representative of those prefectures, and they represent some sort of tradition that each prefecture holds dearly. So there's also something interesting about the term omiyage. The modern definition omiyage, I think everybody knows, is when reading the kanji, omiyage is earth product. But according to an expert from Nara City, Mitsuro Okamoto, the word omiyage comes from an archaic term meaning coming down to the shrine, and this comes from this old tradition where people would go to temples and shrines and offer gifts to the Shinto gods, and later would take those offerings back home to enjoy with their friends and family. And I expect they still do that now, but I guess not many people take back their gifts. Some questions I asked the Kagoshima students, most of them are regarding local gifts and cuisines. The first question I asked was, what's the most popular food-related omiyage in Kagoshima? They told me satsumaimo make the most popular omiyage in Kagoshima. And then I asked, are there any local dishes in Kagoshima that are popular in other parts of Japan? I mean, people would think you only go to Kagoshima for these dishes, but if you can find them in other places, that would be interesting too. And they tell me the Kagoshima shochu is quite popular outside of the area. And then finally, this was part of with what June found was how the supply and demand of food in Japan is very different. How there's a very low supply and a high demand. So I wanted to know if there were any food grown or cultivated in Kagoshima that didn't originally come from the area. Now, I don't know if this was if I got lost in translation or something, but it seems the Kagoshima students answered that there aren't many foods that are from outside Kagoshima that they grow there. So now this isn't regarding Kagoshima, but I'm going to share some of the foods that have earned this the title of being Meibutsu throughout Japan. I'm going to work from the bottom to top, and you'll see why in the next slide. So first is the Namayatsuhashi right down there in the bottom right. This is a local confectionery in Kyoto that is a very popular omiyage meibutsu. It goes in a category called miyage gashi or omiyage wagashi. And these are to discern souvenir sweets that you find in many places. And Namayatsuhashi is a very distinct miyage-gashi from Kyoto. It's a wagashi made of rice flour, sugar, and cinnamon, I believe. And it has a distinct texture depending on how it's prepared. If you leave it raw, it has that mochi texture to it. But when you harden it, it's kind of brittle, like senbei. Following on to the middle is okonomiyaki, and there's it's very distinct in Osaka, and but it's growing in popularity throughout in other areas. But every area has a distinct way of preparing okonomiyaki. It's actually they prepare very quiet in large portions in Osaka, and compared to ones I've eaten in Tokyo, those are like the Osaka ones are like giants, and Tokyo ones are like fruit pies, I guess. Then there's the tebasaki in Nagoya, and these are pretty distinct from regular old hot wings, from Wingstop. You don't compared to a typical fried chicken. And what they do is they don't batter tebasaki. What they do is season it and then fry it, and then after that they baste it in a sauce and then serve it as such. And then finally, we have the Goya melon. And compared to these last three dishes I've shown, the Goya melon is an agricultural meibutsu from Okinawa, Ryukyu Islands, and it's very bitter, it has a very strong flavor, And the funny thing about Goya melon is that it seems to be one of the foods that seem to contribute to the fact that how Japanese people seem to have a very long lifespan. Goya is apparently the health food. And so what I cover Goya last is this particular specialty I found interesting is the Goya champuru. It's a stir fry that is enjoyed in the summertime, and compared to its raw state, Goya becomes a lot more savory rather than bitter. And here I'm going to show a quick recipe preparation, and yeah.
Cooking with the dog. こんにちは。今日は暑い季節にぴったりの沖縄料理ゴーヤチャンプルを作ります。Okay, let's have ingredient ingredients for Goya champuru. Cut the Goya vertically in half. Remove its seeds and soft white part with a spoon. Thoroughly scrape the white part off the thin layer of flesh. Chop the Goya into thin slices.
To moderate the bitterness of the goya, rub salt into the slices of the goya. Leave it for about 10 minutes and let the bitter juice out. Wash the goya with running water and dry it well with the kitchen paper. Chop the onion into thin wedges. Let's drain the farm tofu and remove excess water. Wrap the tofu with kitchen paper and microwave it for 1 minute. Cool it down and wrap the tofu with new kitchen paper. Leave.
Okay, I was going to show the rest, but we're running out of time right now. You can find the link on YouTube. It's very easy. Just type Goya Chafu and you'll find it very quickly. So yeah, but here we have our opinions.
I always wonder like why the Japanese would taste so Japanese to me. So tonight Tadashi, it makes it taste so Japanese. Because that flavor doesn't appear in the Chinese food.
And for me, I think Japanese etiquette is very complex and hard to follow. They have rules for almost everything, so it's hard to learn, I think.
And I find that Meibutsu Yage are a strong part of Japan's food economy, like I said the first time. There's so many omiyage. A lot of people are drawn to these exotic things. It's no wonder Japan has a pretty strong economy.
Pros, their seriousness towards the food makes them very healthy and have like long lifespan, unlike the American, like the obesity problem.
And if people if familiar with good manners and etiquette, usually they will look more cultured and polite.
And Meibutsu are exclusive to Japan, so you won't find their products anywhere else.
Cons.
For the cons, because it's too complicated and complex, and every country have different culture. Although there are some similarities, but there are more differences between cultures. It's really hard to learn or understand.
Reference. We forgot to prepare the Obali. I'm sorry. Sorry. Obali time. Any questions?
We have time for maybe a few